What's up, y'all? Alright, so I'm not gonna hold you with a long ass intro like I usually do. I'm just gonna get right into the shit. I really struggled with how I wanted to start this video off. My intention with this is not to ostracize or belittle another black woman. So many black people universally fall into this same trap. And I am here to break down the psychological manipulations and the half-truths that keep black people perpetually being used as pawns. I really want to make sure that I preface that in the beginning so that my intentions are clear. So let's get into it. Angela Stanton, listen, if you don't know much about this lady, basically her claim to fame was through a book that she released. She basically spilled all the tea by being part of a criminal ring of car theft with reality TV show star Phaedra Parks, I want to say, after her last stint in prison. If you're going to have any conversation about anything political happening in this country, I truly feel that you have to have bare basic foundational understanding and comprehension of United States history and who actually is behind government. Charlemagne, DJ MB, and Angela Yee, all three of these people, in my personal opinion, were not qualified enough to have the serious conversation. So I wrote down a couple of her talking points because it's honestly baffling. In editing this video, I realized that I left out a couple of key pieces of information, so I'm gonna just edit them in. If you understood American history, yes, the Republican Party was started because of, some conflicts with slavery and land and yada yada yada. The main conflict within that political party has always been race relations, anything dealing with equality, suffrage, and oppression. It's just so ironic when I see black people who flock to this idea of being a Republican or a conservative. It's like, do you guys not know about any of this history? But what still stood the test of time throughout all of this transitioning of political views and ideologies was that white people were still in this country enslaving folk. White people were still in this country taking land and enslaving all minority groups. We can look at history and see that it happened on all sides. Even the Progressive Party, like if you look up the history of the Progressive Party, you would see that they were basically the champions for eugenics and sterilization. This shit was across the board. It wasn't just happening to black people. The scariest part was seeing how bullheaded and defensive Angela Stanton was towards Republicans, being a conservative, and her ideas of what is really happening and what has really happened. A lot of the information that she gave, which I will get into throughout this video, it's false. So, right out the gate,
What values do you see in Trump that make you a supporter?
He's the first president that's for pro-life. There are, nearly 60 million black babies that have been aborted since Roe v. Wade passed. He also signed the most historic criminal justice reform, and we freed over 7,000 people from prison. 91% of them were black. He's also permanently funded HBCUs.
The bill that was actually passed, what it actually was referring to break it down simply, what they overturned was the law that made it so that non-violent drug offenses wouldn't be basically prosecuted at the same extent of like a murder. But it was also specifically crack and cocaine, I believe. I would have been more impressed had she talked about any of the programs or foundations or like anything that were helping to get former inmates reestablished in society. Also, 91% of the people that were incarcerated for this bill were black, because specifically targeted minority groups of people. To bring it all back to my point, the beginning of the tough laws and bills on crime started back in the 70s and 80s with the Republican administration. So also, out of the $225 million that was passed by Congress, only $85 million of that is going to go to actual HBCUs. I mean, honestly, we could get into the real honest conversation of why are we even paying for college at all, but
to support what?
Why do us as pro-lifers, people that believe in life and want your children to live, your future children to live, why do our tax dollars have to pay for those children to be slaughtered.
Women are still going to have abortions, whether or not it's illegal, and it's a very dangerous practice.
So that's an excuse to support a racist organization that has wiped out half of our race?
Not gonna lie, I had to do some of my own research because I didn't fully know the history of Planned Parenthood. I wanted to better understand where she was coming from because a lot of what she was claiming just seemed like complete hyperbole. She does make half points when she states the history of Planned Parenthood or the fact that political parties have funded abortion. All it takes is a quick Google search to find this information, my love. If you're going to speak these facts about Planned Parenthood, you need to do the actual research instead of just trying to regurgitate these same talking points that your political party has been spitting for years now. I just have one question. You don't want to support a party that sells dead babies and fetuses, but you'll support a president who is best friends with a known child rapist? Okay, so best friend might be a stretch, but girl, make it make sense.
You know, so what are you against, ma'am?
This is what I don't agree with. I don't agree that I should be forced to recognize a man as a woman. I also don't believe that children should be associated with anything LGBTQ. I'm not against anybody grown doing what they want to do. When you break down LGBTQ, what it means and what it stands for, it's all sexual preference. Children shouldn't be identifying with sexual preference. Laws need to be in place that protect children. I just took my daughter to the doctor the other day. She was only 15 years old. And the first thing the doctor asked her was, what gender do you identify with? First of all, ma'am, that's a minor. So why are we encouraging mental health?
So I would just hope that a whole 50-something-year-old woman would know the difference between sexual preference and sexual identity, gender identity, I should say. I also would hope that you would understand what true trans identity, like transitioning, what being transgender actually means. So I would just hope, Angela, that we would be there, right, sis? That we would be there? Girl. Oh my God.
How does it even benefit Black America to encourage our men to become women?
Okay, apparently fucking not. But sis, it's crazy that you're more concerned about Black men turning into women than you are at the fact that Black men are killing Black women. Black men are killing Black trans women. Black men are killing Black men. Are we gonna talk about these pressing issues? Maybe if we were actually encouraging mental health, as you say, we wouldn't have this type of disparity in our community. She then goes on to have a debate with Angela specifically about gay rights, hidden gay agendas, and representation of queerness in the media. Let me just roll the clip.
I think it's easy to say that when you haven't experienced it and you don't know what it's like. But as a person who I myself know many trans women, for a majority of them, they felt like that since they were young. I was born and I was assigned this gender at birth as a male, but I feel like I'm a woman.
Angela,
and that's the gender that I identify with. And I think that it's dangerous for you to tell a child they can't be who they are, because that leads to all kinds of mental trauma later on in life. And
the first thing I like to do when I listen to people who are trying to tell me that I should believe in something or I should feel a certain way and are trying to give me facts and throw out all this information, I love to research who they are and what gives them the authority to make such bold claims or have such bold opinions.
I was a convicted felon. I was a single mother. I had 4 children waiting for me. They gave me a $25 check and a bus ticket and said, here, go start your life over. Well, I couldn't get the welfare that I've been able to get before. I couldn't get any housing assistance. So I had to figure out how I was going to make it. So I wrote my life story. Not only that, the part about being a single mother, remembering when I was getting those benefits and how Section 8 said, as a single mother, we'll help you and your children, but the father can't live in a home.
However, what a lot of people like Angela Stanton forget, all of those structures that were not allowing you to prosper and grow, those are the same structures that are in place today that are causing your people to still be at the bottom economically. I think in Angela's case, when you really deep dive into her life, it's apparent she's used to muling, she's used to bearing the brunt. It's the same toxic mental health cycle that I talk about in a lot of my videos. It's Stockholm syndrome. spectrum. It's literally prime example of someone being used and abused and then turning to the side of the oppressor. It definitely shows that she has an agenda, and I'm not trying to shame her for being selfish or thinking of herself, putting herself and her family's needs first. I just hate the disingenuous conversations that come from people like Angela, like a Kanye. A lot of these public figures have opinions on things that I don't think they really have done the work to feel. They regurgitate talking points, they regurgitate information that was fed to them. From what I found, it definitely seems like Angela Stanton's case is the same as most black women in this country. Many of us have shared, or similar, I should say, childhoods as far as the abuse that she went through, the early childhood rape, sexual assaults, which led her to basically be a child runaway. And that type of dynamic is so common within black households. And I understand that this is basically a manifestation of the systems that are in place that keep black and brown people disenfranchised. We become broken at a young age, we become traumatized at a young age, and we internalize that. In Angela's case, I feel what really was her saving grace was the fact that she became a criminal with already established celebrities. So she was able to use that celebrity affiliation to leverage herself and get herself a book deal. I'ma roll a clip that I found very interesting. She and her son sat down with a therapist and talked a little bit why they were having conflicts within their relationships.
I don't know why I'm here.
Okay. I think that he's probably fought really hard to get people to accept him for who he is.
What needs to be talked about right now?
He has a tendency to be very disrespectful.
I do not
And
agree.
he and I have gotten into several physical altercations.
My mom has the opinion that I'm not supposed to have an opinion about things. When she asks me to do something, I'm supposed to just do it instantly. When she says something, I'm not supposed to say anything back. And Mom, as long as you think like that, we will never have a great relationship.
We sure won't have a great relationship. Javian can tend to be very, very disrespectful. And I think at that point, I no longer look at him as my son, but more like an enemy.
In all honesty, I don't think I'm disrespectful. I just have an opinion on things. It's human nature to argue and question things. That's just how
Not
people
with your
are.
parents. I don't know where they do that at.
There's one thing that I could do different that might improve my relationship with the other person.
She doesn't care.
I thought that there would be no better example than Angela's own family to demonstrate my point. Miss Angela Stanton, you definitely should not be the pot calling any kettle black. I want to say this with as much empathy as possible. I hope that this reaches other black people, specifically black women out there who have kids, who have gay children, who have any child that's different. All of the time that you spent having all of these negative thoughts about queer identity, you could have spent trying to have relationships with your kids. If you watch some of her show, you'll notice that the dynamic between her kids and her new man, it's very forced, it's very contrived, and spending as much time as she did behind bars and the amount of turmoil that it seems like her life has been in since a very young age, she's creating same broken families that she claims that she's trying to uplift. Girl, I don't care how many new wigs you can buy now. I don't care how many new Gucci outfits you can go and waste your money on. I don't care how much coin you've made from being able to sell salacious, scandalous behavior in the form of TV shows and books. But this is not how we get here. We don't get uplifted by turning a cheek to oppression, by not fighting the very systems that are put into place to keep us disenfranchised.
You raised your son as a liberal, so as your views
I
changed,
didn't.
You didn't.
I didn't
I'm saying
necessarily push any politics.
So you let him be what he wanted to be.
So I have a question to you, Angela. Did your son become gay because he got exposed to gay cartoons? Is that why your son is gay, sis?
So as your views switched to conservative, did that change?
No, actually,
parented?
to be completely honest, my views were always that of conservative, which most black people are.
To be honest, in all honesty, from the point where you did get locked up, I felt like at that point, you don't have the time to be a child. You have to grow up at a certain age, and it's hard for you to be putting up with so much stuff. And then with all of us having different dads, when My father was the only one that didn't want nothing to do with me.
So common within this black community in America. We swear up and down we are so righteous, but then we be living in nothing but sin. They never look at themselves and be like, maybe I shouldn't be the one delivering this message.
This is his first time in presidency. I'm not here to defend him. You know, I know a lot of times he say things that are wild. I'm more focused on his policies.
She claimed that she's more focused on Donald Trump's policies than she is his rhetoric. But sis,
you know, I have to question the validity of COVID.
Girl, now you fucking know. This was funny as shit, girl. What?
And you don't think Donald Trump is a racist?
Why would I think Donald Trump is a racist when I know his history? Before Donald Trump ran for president, no one thought he was a racist.
Girl, I'ma just play the fucking clip.
Well, Angela, in 1973, an employee, when he got sued, an employee did quote in court documents that they were told to rent only to Jews and executives. When there was a lawsuit against Trump.
Nothing about Section 8.
So is this around the same time that he helped Jesse Jackson start the Rainbow Push Coalition?
First, I didn't even know if this was a question or if this was a statement, but I'm gonna assume it was a question. To answer your question, no, it was not around the same time that Donald Trump supposedly gave millions or whatever the fuck she claimed. And if you do just bare minimum research on the Rainbow Push Coalition, you would know the entire history is shaky. If you're only looking at the parts in which Jesse Jackson actually had a hand in, since he stole it from the Black Panther Party before the late 70s, it was doing much more, but we already know what happened to the Black Panther Party. And it's very interesting that you talk about Donald Trump and Jesse Jackson, because I want to play this brief little clip, and you tell me if you really think that Donald Trump was trying to help black people or if he was trying to help himself.
Jesse started off by saying most of the wealth in this country is in the hands of a few. And I thought to myself, is that a bad thing? And then he came to me at the end of the session and he said, listen, I want some office space in your building on Wall Street because the wall on wall will fall. And I said, it's okay, Jesse, I'll make a good deal with you. I'll get you some space. It was the cheapest deal I ever made in the history of 40 Wall Street. Is that right? He got it for nothing. He's a very tough negotiator. We know that, right? You know what happened to Bush's last campaign, folks? It wasn't very pretty. And now we have President Clinton. And I guess you like President Clinton very much, right, Jesse? Stand up and say it, Jesse. I'm building a job on the West Side, which is the largest job ever approved by the New York City Planning Commission. You see it going up along the West Side Highway. People aren't happy about the fact that I'm building a 90-story building in New York City, but it's an as-of-right. It's called an as-of-right building, meaning you can do it by zoning.
Girl, a quick ass Google search would have showed you anything you needed to know. I mean, what list do you want to go down? Do you want to go down the housing discrimination that him and his father have been practicing in New York City since the 70s? Do you want to talk about the times that he's been on public record saying offensive and racist shit? What other forms of evidence do you need to believe that something is racist before you believe that it's racist? And I'm not even about to waste my time trying to argue about this damn COVID. Ooh, I forgot, I can't say that word. About this pandemic. It already took me 72,000 years just to edit this shit, so.
Why did Donald Trump go out of his way to run these ads into that?
Still to
Guess
this day,
what my
hasn't
response
apologized.
is to that? Y'all more mad at Donald Trump than y'all mad at Antron's own daddy for making him confess.
This shit, Angela, no, honey. Why do we all have access to the internet but we are not using it? All you had to do was search for the answer. Having to repeat this part over again when I was editing just really made my skin crawl, because it's like, girl, did you not even research the case? You talking about you love entrepreneurship within black people? Girl, you didn't watch Oprah's special on this? Oh my God. Once we got to this part of the interview, I was just like, now I know you're an actor. Now I know you're definitely getting paid by this administration. There's no way.
Even with the first step back, we can't act like Trump's administration is not working behind the scenes to undermine those laws and put inmates back behind bars, because he encourages harsher sentences for drug offenses, including nonviolent ones. The Department of Justice gave federal prosecutors wider latitude to pursue criminal drug charges and harsher sentences.
Do you know that there's a difference between the Department of Justice and the White House?
I mean, sis, technically you're correct about the DOJ and the president being two separate entities, but they are still a part of the same branch of government. Again, if we know anything about Donald Trump's history, we already know this nigga don't care about none of the rules. All the Republican Party is doing now is reversing all of the damage that they did already. And I'm not going to sit here and say that it was just the Republican Party, but it was primarily the Republican Party. It's been people in places of government who could not care less about the overall well-being of society. They just want to continue with capitalism and greed. Girl, I don't know how many more examples in this damn video I can give y'all. Mass incarceration is primarily funded by the Donald Trumps of the world and all of the people involved in his political fucking party, sis. The rich and wealthy, the lobbyists. And if you truly cared about mass incarceration, you would be fighting to get rid of the organizations who are funding this institution to stay alive. I'm gonna insert a clip of one of my favorite YouTubers. I'm gonna take it away to Jimmy.
There are very few people who are going to watch this who don't experience the thing that their appeal is based on and who doesn't fall for similar types of things. When we are dealing with uncomfortable topics, especially uncomfortable topics that say we are skeptical of or that we are ill-educated on, but don't want to admit that to ourselves and others, we get great relief. It's a good feeling. Basically, we really like the relief we feel when somebody challenges it in a way that we can go, oh good, I don't have to deal with this. I don't have to worry about this. I don't have to think about it anymore. It is a selection and a use of numbers where you stopped abruptly as far as you have quote unquote made your point, basically for fear that going any further will undo that point. And she will only go as far as the numbers that make her point. She definitely doesn't go into the numbers and the facts and the systems that are behind all of that. And those are the numbers, these are the things that white conservatives who say they don't agree with Black Lives Matter, these are the numbers they want to stop at and not go any further and not explore further. And when you try to have those conversations, as I have a number of times, you just get this dismissal. Oh, no. No.
No, I don't believe that he's a racist.
For these
He
innocent
also
black
put up
people
when
that
Jennifer
never,
Hudson's family was murdered.
We let you
He
speak,
put
you gotta
her
let us
up.
speak too. You can't speak over us
But
when
I
we're speaking,
can't.
man.
But y'all lying.
We all
But y'all
talk
are
about
lying.
it.
If we know anything about Trump, we know that he's definitely ignorant. I know that Trump fans and followers, bandwagoners, y'all get very offended and triggered by language, so I'll try to be as sensitive as possible. We already know what it is with Donald Trump. I didn't really need to do a super deep dive into his history. It's pretty evident at this point. If you need any type of evidence, you can literally just Google the cases of discrimination that this guy has open. You need to be very cautious about who you decide to follow, and honestly, not for nothing, you as your own free-thinking individual, you should really put forth effort, do some work, do some research on these talking points, these sensational sound bites, I like to call them, that these actors like to spew. I mean, don't worry, I did the research for you in this video, but I'm gonna link these resources down below, so you know, anytime you want to have reference back to actual data. Now, the last part of this interview is where it really, like, the straw man just came out in full effect. She starts making all of these claims.
You would, back in the day, they had to call Harriet Tubman a coon for going to work with white people to free the slaves. I'm not going to apologize for the favor they got.
Harriet wasn't going to work.
Girl, just sweetheart, people are calling you a coon because, one, I know that there's probably a nicer way I could say this, but I'm gonna just say it as is because that's just my personality. We don't even see the natural hair that grows out of your fucking scalp, sis. So you're gonna miss me with this coon that you're trying to project onto another black woman who actually did the work. I don't understand how you can have the rhetoric of pick yourself up by the bootstraps or you're not looking for a handout when most of Black America is not looking for a handout, sis. We're looking for equality. There's a difference between handouts and equality. I just want to take this opportunity to pass the mic on to my good sis, Kimberly Latrice Jones. Jones, I was watching an amazing conversation that Kim over at For Harriet, which by the way, if you do not follow her YouTube, you need to. She was having a beautiful discussion, and I really want you guys to hear her message. I think it sums up my feelings quite eloquently.
You broke the contract when for 400 years we played your game and built your wealth. You broke the contract when we built our wealth again on our own by our bootstraps in Tulsa, and you dropped bombs on us. When we built it in Rosewood and you came in and you slaughtered us. You broke the contract, so fuck your Target. Fuck your Hall of Fame. As far as I'm concerned, they could burn this bitch to the ground. And it still wouldn't be enough. And they are lucky that what black people are looking for is equality and not revenge.
We have so many representatives in our communities that actually are doing the work, that actually are putting forth the effort to understand and to change these systems. We don't put forth the same energy into the people who are actually doing the fucking work and actually have the walk for their talk. The way that society is shaped, we give too much to too little of people. We give so much power and influence to groups of people, minority groups of people who I personally feel don't have the real skills to be the leaders. And this is why we need people who know this history. We need people who have done the work. Why would we be asking Angela Stanton for any political advice when she's a reality TV star the same way that Donald Trump is? Am I the only one that's like... I think that pattern behavior is an essential tool in discerning the good from the bad. I just really feel like the majority of us are not, I don't want to say we're dumb, we're so bamboozled that we just look for any quick thing that makes us feel good in the moment and takes us, we are so easily distracted. This happens every political cycle, and I need y'all to start waking up to the patterns, okay? We just keep getting more and more generations of people who are confused about what they really want, people who don't want to actually build their own structures and foundations and challenge the ones that have been forced upon us, people like Angela Stanton. What she fails to realize is that these opportunities are not available for all of us, sis. That's the whole fucking point. Y'all would much rather try to get along with oppression and struggle through it so that you can somehow find a benefit from it than challenge it and change it. These political parties, they know that. They keep y'all arguing about the same futile talking points, and instead of questioning the entire structure of our government as a whole, y'all try to pick straws at which side is better or worse. You're using the same talking points that have been fed to you by a political party that clearly wants to keep you at the bottom and beneath them. Angela Stanton, you, my love, you were placed there in your position for a reason. You are so hell-bent on being loyal because you were pardoned.
Do you think you would be a Trump supporter if he hadn't pardoned you?
I've supported Trump before I got a pardon.
And I hope that one day you wake up to see that you are a pawn in the bigger game of chess in this greater scheme to get the black consciousness to support their own demise.
Ma, if we didn't question and argue things as people, we would still be like slaves.
That's all I'm gonna say. Y'all let me know what y'all thought down in the comment section below, and I will talk to y'all later. Bye.
And I know if we really want to be free as a people, we got to reduce poverty. Because once we reduce poverty, we reduce crime. We need more entrepreneurs. And if I can do it, anybody can do it.
You can do that as part of any party, though, or being an independent. You don't have to be a part of a party to do that, though, right?
Well,